as Hitesh was pointing out, the students who passed out or graduated this year or in the first year going to second year, um, it must have been a challenge. But how if you have to put some numbers, are there any withdrawals in terms of offers or anything, any such thing that have happened in terms of placements or in terms of the summer internships at IIM Bangalore, or because you must be interacting with almost entire IIM fraternity? Would you like to comment on this, because that would be a matter of concern for most of the youngsters?
Yeah, so at IIM Bangalore, so far we have not seen any major impact of COVID on PGP 2018-2020 placement. I think less than 10 offers have been withdrawn out of a graduating class of 420, 430. So that's negligible number of offers, 2%, 1 or 2%. There have been some deferments of joining dates. That's natural. You don't expect companies to onboard people at a time when there's a lockdown. So a lot of companies have deferred the joining dates, which were originally like 1st May or 1st June or something like that. But whatever data I have, and I actually got it updated today, there has been no significant negative impact on the graduating class of this year. As far as summer internship is concerned, again, there were some withdrawal of offers. Mainly those were overseas summer internships. Most domestic companies adapted to the situation quite well. They converted a lot of their internships into virtual or work from home kind of internships. It's obviously not exactly the same thing as working in the company, but companies have been quite supportive in making those work. So we didn't see any significant impact on summer internships either at IIMB. As far as other institutes are concerned, I think there has been some impact, but it varies from institute to institute. I think the top end, ABC, we've generally not seen too much impact. Perhaps in those companies where the sophistication of management is not that high, where they were not able to quickly adapt or change their internships into work from home kind of projects, there were internships lost. And I've seen even on the internet, students asking to find new internship opportunities. But I think by and large, it's been manageable so far this year. So that's been our experience so far. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So it's like in continuity, I'll because Hitesh, you are talking about it, and I'll come to Rishi. This now brings to the other dimension in terms of education, people looking at next year or next year to next year. There could be many models that may be emerging. Perhaps it could be multiple universities. You pick and choose courses from multiple universities and put the bouquet together. And perhaps one of the universities says, okay, I will give you a degree. And if the technology online is really good, then would you advise people looking at 20 or 2020 or 2021 to look at such models to emerge, or look at GMAT and CAT again? So these are some questions people with work experience are asking.
So I think there are two parts to it. See, if you want a high quality management education, I think the IIM still are, far ahead of the rest. So there is no, and like I said, it's not just the online sort of, it's not just the teaching, it's also the on-campus experience which they provide, the networks you build, the connections you establish with faculty, the stuff that the friendships you make, and so on and so forth. So I don't think anything comes close to that. And the IIMs, of course, provide great education as well, at least the top IIMs do. But at the same time, what is happening in the world around us is that things are changing pretty rapidly. And stuff which we don't even know of today could become very, very important in 5 years. And therefore, I think the learning model is also changing. Professionals need to continuously sort of upgrade their skills. They need to sort of learn how to learn, and they should not assume or believe that once they're out of college, that's it. And that's where I think online in the beginning is going to be very, very helpful, because there's a lot of stuff available online. And there is stuff available online which is not even taught anywhere, by the way, because like I said, so many things are evolving so quickly that even before they make it to the curriculum of some of the established institutes, they're often available online, right, from some international provider or from some digital sort of startup and so on, or from some expert somewhere, right? So I think there are two things here. One is the learning mindset. I think that has to be a continuous sort of learning sort of mindset. Okay, listen, we need to learn all the time, and there is a lot of stuff which is available online which you can learn from, and that you will have to, even if you start working after your IIM degree, I think you should continue. Professionals should continue to sort of upgrade their skills online. But I think the management experience degree which the IIMs provide, the overall experience, the overall product offering is still far superior to anything which is available online. So if you get a chance to go to an IIM, I think go for it.
Thank you, Hitesh. Rishikesh, any comments on this emerging models of education online and people with work experience gravitate towards executive MBA and distance MBA? And is the new forms of these technology-driven MBAs are going to be of immense value, especially in this context?
I think one should be able to distinguish between different types of disciplines and also different kinds of educational experiences. I mean, let's just for a moment take a brief diversion to engineering and undergraduate education. There we're already seeing important differences happening at some levels. For example, many Indian IT companies are now saying we'll not go to campus anymore. We'll give everybody a test or a challenge, and whoever qualifies on the test or challenge, we are willing to take them. We don't care so much about where you got your degree from. Companies like Google and others are also doing something similar. They're in fact going one step further and sometimes saying we don't even care if you have a degree or not. If you can code well enough for this really challenging problem, then you're good enough to come and work for us. But that's largely in the area of what you might call narrow technical skills. Now, when you come to something like management, which is, I think, quite different. I mean, there are many aspects to management. Some of it is very explicit, some of it is tacit. It's a combination of knowledge, skills, attitude, etc. As Hitesh has said several times, it's all about networks and relationships and many other things. So I think management education is a little different from engineering in that respect. And therefore, you are unlikely to see the MBA degree or a management qualification becoming irrelevant in a big hurry. That's, I think, the first core point I would like to make. Secondly, the other question you raised about executive MBA, distance MBA, and so on, I think it has quite a lot to do with what's your starting point. Now, if you've got a lot of experience, you've been working for several years, you've learned a lot experientially as well, and now you're looking for some of those frameworks or approaches which can help you distill what you've learned experientially. That's usually the situation where executive MBA, or there are a lot of these MBAs which don't run at a stretch. They have a few days spread over a couple of years, and in between you do projects and things like that. Those work very well for people who have a significant amount of experience. But if you're a youngster and you've just done your undergraduate degree, and maybe like most of our students, you have a couple of years experience working in a IT company or something like that, you really don't have that exposure to management. You don't have enough experience that you can learn from that experience. So then a full-time classroom, campus-based MBA at a good institution is extremely helpful or beneficial to you. Of course, there are some people who are a little bit in between. Maybe you're 5 years out of your undergraduate degree. You've got picked up some good experience. You're slowly coming to the stage where you're moving into a managerial role. So our 1-year MBAs are kind of designed for that. But the 1-year MBA is really, in many ways, just an accelerated version of the 2-year MBA, designed for people who have more experience and therefore whose opportunity cost is much higher. But I think you need to understand clearly which bucket you fall in and then choose accordingly.